who are we not talking about now who is going to be in the mix this time next year? Our friend Ralph Russo texted us this last night, and I answered with Hudson Card. And I was kind of kidding, but kind of not, because Hudson Card is one of the most skilled quarterbacks in the transfer portal right now. And I would not be shocked if somebody comes out of the transfer portal and gets in a new spot and they find the perfect place for them and blow up and they're awesome.
Do you think that so when we do the cutoff of people who weren't considered this year, is that like we're never a part of the hype or weren't in the top 5?
We're never a part of the hype at all.
So like Drake May wouldn't count right now.
Oh, Drake May. Yeah. Drake May's a guy we talked about all year for it.
All right. What about Arch Manning?
That would be something, because it would mean Quinn Ewers isn't starting at Texas anymore. Well, exactly.
You never know. What a Ohio State quarterback, Devin Brown or Kyle McCord? Because just being Ohio State's quarterback, it means you're going to put up a bunch of numbers.
Exactly.
Cade Klubnik.
Cade Klubnik. You mentioned one in our chat with Ralph that I thought was a really good one. Donovan Edwards.
Yep, he's a stud.
And JJ McCarthy, I think, is one, because we saw when what did we say all year? They never asked JJ McCarthy to throw him to the wind. The first time they did, he was pretty awesome at it.
That's right. There's no question. Here's another one that's kind of strange. Jaden Daniels, if he comes back,
he could have some talent around him.
He's going to have some talent around him, and he played a lot better in the second half of the year than the first half.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting one.
I could get behind, because all it is about getting momentum at the second half of the year.
Exactly.
So like, and he kind of already did that this year.
We can be reasonably certain they're going to be a good team.
Like Jaden Daniels had an okay year for what he's capable of physically, and he had LSU if they went out, they're in the playoff mode, like in week 10. So like it could, lightning could strike twice.
How about Connor Wegman?
Could be.
I mean, if they're good, he's going to get a lot of credit for that.
Michael Penix Jr., does that count, or is he too much as a candidate this year?
I don't know if he was enough of a candidate this year to say that. I say go ahead, throw him on there.
Yeah. What about Chandler Morris?
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Did he beat out Duggan this year?
He did. He started day one, and then Duggan took over. So Chandler Morris doing what Duggan did this year, absolutely. Oh, Trip Tepper, here's an interesting one. Can't believe I'm saying this, Joe Milton. Well,
you never know.
We know Joe Milton has the skill set to do it. And we know he's in an offense that's going to put up big numbers, but unfortunately for Joe, it's just when he's played, he's not been able to be that accurate. If Joe Milton ever solves the accuracy thing, which I realize that's
number 1 overall pick.
Oh,
he could be the reason why I lose my Heisman vote next year.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr., you have to say. What about Quinshon Judkins?
That's another good one. Ooh, yeah.
I made a list.
I like that.
There's another one
Judkins a lot.
that I have to say just because it just has to be on brand. Drew Aller.
Yes. Why not?
Why not?
If Penn State is really good and they have an offensive renaissance, he's going to get the credit for it.
Yeah. I mean, Quinn Ewers,
absolutely.
I can't just throw out Arch Manning
and
not
can.
Put out Quinn there. But yeah, so, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure Caleb Williams will be back next year. Hopefully he will be, because that means you owe me $1,000, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because we're starting to get into crunch time.
You got a pretty good shot if he if he has a really good year and is in the hunt for the Heisman again. Matthew Pate with an interesting one. Ty Simpson finalist, write it down. I'm glad Matthew brings this up, because I wanted to pose this to you. I was talking on the SiriusXM SEC channel on Friday afternoon, and we had Mike Rodak from AL.com on, and we were asking him, how do you think they're going to handle the Will Anderson and Bryce Young situation? Are they going to play? And he said, no, I don't think they're going to play. They haven't made an announcement yet, but they probably aren't going to play. And he pointed out that Nick Saban is probably going to say, don't play, because they are potentially top 5 picks.
Yeah.
And being a top 5 pick is more valuable to Alabama than playing in this Sugar Bowl against Kansas State.
That's right.
So I'm going to ask you, Ari. We saw Jalen Milroe up close and personal at that Alabama Texas A&M game. That was his, he got the start, didn't play particularly well. Ty Simpson is their other quarterback right now. If Bryce Young winds up not playing, which it sounds like he may not, who are you going to start? Are you going to try Ty Simpson and see if he might be your starter next year?
All right, you had me on the show. Let me warm up my hot take arm here.
Okay, or are you going Milroe? Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so I am an idiot, and I bet on the New York Giants on Sunday.
Oh, that's bad. They got smoked.
They're getting 7.5
by our guy Jalen Hurts,
and I thought they had a pretty solid defense, divisional, whatever. I don't even want to tell you my thought process because it was so inherently stupid. But as I was watching Jalen Hurts playing, I reminded myself what he looked like when he was at Alabama.
Yes.
Super talented player. Mm-hmm. Wasn't a very good passer. Part of the reason why they took him out, right, is because
I will point out, like, I remember I was at Jalen Hurts' first game. That was against USC in Jerry World. He was a better thrower of the ball then than when he left Alabama. So he regressed as a passer. And then at Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley got him right.
Which could be Lincoln Riley is a quarterback genius to dovetail back on what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But if you would have told somebody who watched or watches Jalen Hurts cook now in the NFL, what happened to him at Alabama and how he got benched and how he had to transfer, could you imagine the thought process there? Of like,
no one would believe you. No one would believe you.
Dramatic transformations of any player I think I've ever seen.
Yes, it is,
because he's legitimately one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL now,
and he makes it look easy.
So
like, some of the stuff he was doing against the Giants, like some of those QB powers, you're just like, holy cow! They're barely touching him because they're so afraid of what he might do if he throws it.
Yeah. So the reason why I bring this up is, and you tell me if I'm crazy, you're Mr. SEC, you know about this more. But in my brain, the Jalen Milroe that we saw in person and we saw a few times this year reminded me a little bit of what Jalen Hurts looked like when he reached the uncomfortable stages at Alabama.
Correct.
Super athletic, ton of potential, dealt kind of a tough hand.
Mm-hmm. And he's got a good arm. It's not like he can't.
Good arm.
Yeah.
Strong arm.
Yep.
That guy could be a starting quarterback in the NFL in 4 or 5 years if things progress the right way for him. If he transfers to USC, for instance. I'm kidding. But like that,
you're not kidding. Like, they're going to need somebody in 24.
And you know how I am, and everybody knows me on the show as Start the 5-star kid, right?
Yeah.
But like I thought that I saw.
Everybody at Alabama is very high.
Was Milroe a 5-star?
I don't know if he was a 5-star.
I don't think that he was a 5-star.
He was a 4-star if he wasn't.
He was a high-end 4-star.
Yeah.
But like everybody always knows me as Start the 5-star that you haven't seen over what we know. Right. And a lot of times that's true. But this time I think Milroe, with a good offseason, with some development and comfortable.
And there also may be a new OC at Alabama next year.
Could be a dangerous stud. Right. So to me, I would put him on my list of somebody who can not only start next year.
So you say play him in the Sugar Bowl.
I mean, I'd play both if you could. What do you have to lose?
Yeah. Well, you don't have to lose anything other than a game, and
that no one gives a shit about. Yeah,
people will make fun of you for losing it, but they're not going to. Yeah, they're not going to.
All right, I've got one more name that I have to mention. And I think that this name, it's kind of heaty.
Okay,
but it's going to be a good segue to the last thing that we talk about on the podcast, which is.
I know exactly what name you're going to give me. Go
say it for me.
Shedeur Sanders.
Boom.
Love
what
it.
if Colorado is just rocks ass next year? That's my new catchphrase. By the way,
listen. If you win 8 games at Colorado next year, that's probably enough to vault Shedeur into the because people know how bad they were this year.
Like, and I don't know how good the guy is, to be honest. So he was a top 300 player, and he did really well at Jackson State. Doesn't Colorado open up with a big dog next year?
TCU at TCU.
So I think we're going to find out very early in his career if he's got the goods or not. But what if he is just awesome?
Oh my God, that would be incredible. Can you imagine the Heisman ceremony?
I want to talk about the hype. This is a hype award. Can you imagine the hype?
Well, and this, yeah, right. He's going to be at a place where they're generating more hype on their own than anybody else is.
He's in the middle of the eye of the hype storm.
Oh man!
And his last name is Sanders.
I mean, his brother's in charge of the hype, essentially.
Oh yeah, you can just, you know how much Heisman moments he's the only candidate in the race next year that can have Heisman moments in the locker room for everybody to see.
Oh my gosh. I hadn't thought about it that way, but you may be right.